Welcome to Love Bites. Love Bites. Love Bites. Love Bites. By Dr. Tara, your destination for sexual wellness and mindful relationship advice. Hope you're having an orgasmic day.
Looking for an efficient way to boost your holistic and sexual health? Get ashwagandha gummies from Goli Nutrition. Paired with vitamin D, they're vegan, plant-based, gluten-free, and non-GMO. Improve your sexual wellness with Goli gummies. Tap the link in the show notes and use code DrTara10 for 10% off. Supplements are sexy. Today's topic is BDSM. I'm going to start with this quote. Pleasure does not exist without pain. Pain and pleasure are the same emotion. And this is a quote by Marquis de Sade, the father of sadism. Hello, my loves. It's Dr. Tara, your favorite sex and relationship expert here at Love Bites, the podcast for sexual wellness and exploration. Today with us, we have Mistress Justine Cross, who is a professional BDSM consultant and queer lifestyle dominatrix. She owns Dungeon East, which is not far away from downtown LA, right? She's an educator and all-around badass bitch. Extensively interviewed and profiled, Mistress Justine has appeared in Los Angeles Magazine, Playboy, and featured in lots of movies, shows, and magazines. Justine offers classes in person, online, and private tutorials. She also hosts these cool parties, BDSFemme, a play party for cis and trans women, and co-hosts Deviant, a play party for all queers. Hello, Mistress Justine.
Hello, Dr. Tara.
Thank you so much for making the time.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yes. Can I first ask, tell us a little bit more about you, apart from that, official bio.
Yeah, well, I'm an Aquarius.
Love.
Like my moon is in Scorpio. I've been doing this for about 15 years. I have degrees in literature and psychology. And I'm just having the best time. I mean, it's certainly been a really weird and wild time in the last few years, but it's a good life. So it's really wonderful to travel the world and meet a lot of really wonderful people. And it's fun to play with them and have really cool parties.
Yes. Well, my first question is, what was the pivotal moment that led you to become a dominatrix?
Well, I graduated from a liberal arts college, so you kind of have to go into sex work. As I said, you're welcome. Well, I guess the truly pivotal moment was after I graduated from college. I'm originally from the East Coast. I went to school in New York and I moved to Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is expensive as fuck. So I had a job, not a great job, but a job. And then I Googled Los Angeles and dungeon and decided to work at a dungeon. I had a commercial space. So that is a space where people are on shifts. Like there are dominatrixes, switches, and subs on staff. And there's shifts. So, people have like a day shift or a night shift, and then people kind of just walk in. It's mostly just like walk-in clientele to supplement my income and pay my student loans. If I were to do it all over again, I would not pay my student loans, but I did at the time. Baby doms are dumb. Anyway, but so that was basically it. It was just like a need and something that I thought I would be really good at. It was something that I did in my personal life, and I knew a couple of pro doms, and I had a very supportive partner and very sex positive and kink positive. So I started, and here we are.
So it started to supplement income, but now it's a passion and it's your main occupation. What was the moment when you were like, wow, I really like doing this. This is a passion of mine.
Well, I would, just to clarify, I would this is my business. So, when me as a dominatrix, that's doing sessions one-on-one with someone or doing online stuff. that's actually ends up being not a huge portion of my income anymore, in some ways, because I'm doing so many other things, because I have dungeon rentals and I'm doing a lot of like media appearances and classes and events and stuff like that. So just want to say that first. And then also in terms of it being a passion, again, since it was always something that was in my personal life, it was something that I always enjoyed. And then it became, I wouldn't say that there was never really a point where my professional doming was not a passion. You know, it was always something that I enjoyed, but it's something that I've definitely enjoyed more later in years, and certainly more in like, you know, as I grew as a dom and, you know, had my own spaces and had more recognition and made a lot more money and stuff like that. So getting a lot of fabulous shoes and all of those things. The passion is just increased.
So hashtag dom for life.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, unless it got me shadow banned, which I'm already shadow banned, so it doesn't matter.
No, that's such a problem. Well, since you started talking a little bit about how you were already doing it in your personal life, so it's always been a passion. I'm curious, what does your own sex life look like?
Think of the most amazing sex life you've ever, you know, imagined. And like, clearly it's 10 times better than that. I'm in my home dungeon. I have 2 dungeons, you know, well, it's like this is my home dungeon. That's just, as I was explaining, is my dungeonette is because it's the smallest dungeon I've ever owned, but this is my home office and dungeonette. And then I still have Dungeon East in downtown LA. You know, I have so many sex toys. My partner, is, you know, what I can say about our relationship publicly is, you know, she is also a dom. So you can imagine 2 doms during quarantine. Oh my goodness. But, you know, this is a person in my life who is extremely sex positive and kink positive and wonderful. So that is what I can say.
Yeah,
All good
I
stuff.
love that. Love it. So the stereotype, and I guess it's also based on the popular movie 50 Shades of Grey, is that there's always like one dom and one sub. And that's not true.
Well, I mean, it can be true. I mean, that's like just a classic, you know, dom sub relationship. I mean, you have to have someone to dominate. You know, there's like a, you know, I mean, we tried it. It's just, you know, kind of hard, inanimate objects. It doesn't work so well, you know, I mean, but we joked a lot during the pandemic, like, you know, if a dom cracks a whip in the forest and no one's around to hear it, is she still a dom? You know, because like we were just in the middle, but yeah, I mean, the other scenarios are co-topping. So something that my partner and I do a lot, certainly at parties, if you've been to them, you know how wonderful we are, is we co-top someone together. So that's really fun. And we have really different dom styles, and we're very different kinds of doms, but we do co-top together. And the other thing is, you know, I really love watching her dom, or she loves really watching me dom. And all of these things are valid forms of participation and sex and desire and fantasies.
I love that. Can you talk a little bit more about co-topping?
Oh yeah. So co-topping would be just, you know, 2 tops, 2 doms. I use those terms interchangeably. Both exerting action on a sub, a couple of subs, you know. So in certain scenarios, maybe you're doing the same action, or, you know, maybe one person is doing something like tying that person up and then the other person is teasing them, or, you know, you could be like, you know, whipping someone at the same time. You know, the sub could be worshiping both of your feet. There's a lot of fun scenarios. So
that sounds like so much fun.
It is.
You're like, yes, it is.
It is. I know. Now I'm like, oh, when's the next party?
You had mentioned, and I think that for people who don't know anything about BDSM, they might think dom, there's just like, it's just doming. Like there's just one style. But you had mentioned like, oh, my style is different from my partner's style. And now I assume that there's many different styles. Can you talk about your dom style?
Yeah, you know, for my particular, yes, there are many different dom styles. For my style, I get asked this question a lot, and I always hesitate because I'm not really known for one particular thing. Like I'm not an expert bondage or shibari person or medical play. I really consider myself a range player, and the kinds of scenes that I do are they range from pretty light and sensual, like tickling and tease and denial, to some pretty heavy corporal scenes. Corporal meaning anything where you're doing impact play and hitting someone on the body, and then everything in between. So the things that I do probably the most are things like corporal punishment, foot fetish, just anything femdom, where I am just the goddess, you're worshiping me, financial domination, electroplay, those kinds of things. And I really love doing like a holistic approach to doming. So the more that people allow me to do other things to them in their life with consent, like helping them come up with like exercise routines or like diet or, other kinds of things like that. That's what I really, really love to do. And like organizing your closet and, stuff like that. So the more that people allow me to do those things and just dom their life, the better, the more fun we have.
Ooh, so I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about financial domination. Mm-hmm. Can you teach us a little bit about like the essence of financial mm-hmm. domination?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're giving, it's all, how do I say this? Okay. So, there's an exchange and, I'm making a lot of money for what I'm doing anyway, in terms of just regular, I would say BDSM or femdom stuff. But with financial domination, there's more. So it could be things like you're just tipping even more. You're doing things like retweet games or, like raise the rate games, stuff like that, or like spin the wheel and you have to, pay someone that amount. So the what you're giving is much greater than what the technical value would be. Like, but it's like, look, I mean, I've sold pictures of my trash for money, so
wow.
Yeah, things like that. And also just, just going on like extreme sprees of like spending. It could be also in the forms of gifts where you're just getting a lot of gifts, but it's not, I get a lot of gifts anyway. It's kind of hard to distinguish because I would consider myself a femdom, but also doing more of the findom kind of thing. And it's sort of like in a femdom role, I should say, as a dominatrix, like, oh, it's like very nice for you to just get me a gift and like, thank you very much. But it's like more in a findom role as a dominatrix, I would say, bitch, get this for me right this second. And then have like 50 guys like just want to like, clear out my wish list, which is spoiledjustine.com. So things like that. I would say that it's a greater amount of stuff or money for what you're doing, but it's all under the lovely umbrella of sex work.
Yeah. So your sub in findom, your sub then gain pleasure from pleasuring you financially.
Right. Actually, that's a really good, important distinction. That sub is getting a lot of pleasure. You're right. That's
like, it feel good. Like, let me spend money on you, Mistress Justine.
Thank you. That is the distinction that I was looking for. And I'm like, how do I make this work in my head? Thank you, Dr. Tara.
It's okay. I'm a professor summarizing my students' answers, the everyday job. So I find that very, very interesting. Do you work with everyone that, I guess every gender, or do you specifically work with one or a couple of genders?
Oh, no, I work with all genders because I'm very openly queer. It's been really lovely in the last few years to get a lot more couples, a lot more women, a lot more gender nonconforming and trans folks to come in because they see me as a member of the community and they feel safer with me. So that's really nice. And that's been a really beautiful and huge shift. And also to see a huge, not just in terms of my clients, but also just seeing a shift in terms of the professionals like who are openly queer or trans or gender nonconforming, like that was not happening 10 years ago. I guess like probably like 5 years ago now, but definitely not 10 years ago. It was just like, I knew everyone who was a lesbian dominatrix, but they were not out as a lesbian dominatrix or queer. Yeah.
Because the money is in like male, female, like kind of role.
Well, I think that I don't know. I can't speak for other people of why they decided to disclose their status or not. I can say that for me, like I was never in the closet as being a queer woman, but it was never a part of my professional persona that like people knew that I was queer, but I didn't really attach that. Like I felt like that was like my personal life and an uncloseted personal life wasn't really attached or coordinated with my Justine professional life. But I'm just a big homo. So, so just because I was just doing so many events in LA and then it just happened. But it's so funny because like there are still, I feel like I'm so openly out and queer, but there are still people who are like, yeah, but aren't you into men? And it's like, never. I'm into their money and their wallets, but like not anything else they have to offer me because they don't. So it always amuses me,
But you do have like heterosexual men subs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, if they identify that way, sometimes they don't, you're not that straight, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. The majority of my clients are straight, cis, white men from 30 to 50. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So now that we're kind of talking about your work, can you share with us some, like one or a couple of most memorable BDSM stories?
Oh my goodness. As soon as you say that, my mind goes blank. What have I done recently that was super fun? Let me think. I just got back from vacation, so I'm just like, what's happened? Oh, I know. Okay, great. Okay, I was like, I haven't really done much, and then I just remembered something cool I did. So I had a foot session, and he was super sweet, and he came over and he was asking me like a lot of questions, and it was just really nice because we were just hanging out and having a really light, chill, fun evening as he's massaging my feet. And he mentioned a certain kind of music that he's into, and I'm going to be vague now because I can't, and I said, oh yeah, like we probably went to some of the same shows and stuff. And he said, oh, do you know this person, Mr. X? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I know Mr. X. So I texted that person and I was like, hey, I'm with one of your fanboys right now. And that person, who's a celebrity you would know, a musician, texted me back and was like, ha ha ha, give it to him hard, so that was amusing. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if I was like, yeah, like I haven't seen that person in a long time, but let me see if they're up and about. So that was really amusing. And then that client was like, oh my God, you're such a goddess. Now I'm your fanboy extra, extra hard. So and just like a really sweet session that was just like, oh God, this is why I do what I do,
Love it. That's a cute story.
Thank you. Sorry, I can't say who it was.
No, that's okay. I completely respect that. What about at your parties? Was there like a certain party that you were like, wow, that was one of the best parties ever?
Literally every single one. I gotta tell you, you're in Los Angeles, right? Like, oh, you gotta come. I'm gonna send you some invites. So, they're really special, I gotta say. And I want to quote my friend Rhonda Jahar on it, because when we were at like I think it was like the first BDSFemme that we were able to have safely in person, post mid-pandemic, like after quarantine, I should say, because we're still in this pandemic. And she said, there was just light coming in from outside, and I was sitting on the bed talking to people, and she's like, I just started looking at you and the light on your face, and I just started crying because like what you're doing here is creating something so special and amazing, and you just look so beautiful. I just started like, I'm getting chills just weeping. And that was just such a beautiful compliment to hear from someone who's been to a lot of my events, and someone I respect and love so much. And she actually did a short film there called Yes Goddess, which was really fun. But yeah, I think that, and same thing for Deviant, because we're creating a really small, like less than 50 people play party, and it's a lot of the same people. Really? Because there's just so many, there's just a lot of other events happening right now that are much bigger, and so I'm seeing a lot of more like club play parties happening, which have like a much bigger guest list. So I feel like that's still kind of tiny compared to those. But I guess, yeah, you're not going to have like 50 people usually in your house for a party kind of thing. They're all, because of the way that we set them up. So we set them up so there's 2 or 3 playstations, so everyone has guaranteed safe play, which is really important. So you have a built-in sexy experience, and that way, in case you're really shy or you're there by yourself, you can play with someone, and also you can also just watch. And I also hire people who go around and talk to everyone and make sure that everyone feels really cool and comfy and is excited to, just just be in the space. And a lot of people, even though, yes, the sex and kink is like amazing and off the chain, what I also think is wonderful is so many people tell me, oh my God, I met my friend here, my best friend here. I met my new girlfriend here. I met my play partner. I met a new hiking buddy. And I just really want to connect people in really lovely ways. And I feel really happy and proud about that.
That sounds like a networking party, just sexy.
Way sexier, indeed.
Yeah. I love that. Well, now that you're talking about the party and it just sounds amazing. I know that a lot of my listeners would identify themselves as like vanilla people, but are very like open-minded and very curious. For you as a professional, how can vanilla people try different BDSM practices at home?
Oh, okay. Well, so many. I mean, one, you can do, you can start the conversation by having classes. Again, like I do online classes, as well as in person. So I'm sure people are tuning in from all over. Other things to do are read erotica or BDSM books or watch different movies. And I can't even like recommend my favorites, but Wikipedia actually has a really good list. And if you're going to watch 50 Shades of Grey, just watch 50 Shades Darker, because that was the only one that was actually really good. But I think that, and, even just porn, like I love kink.com or reading erotica, like lit erotica, online. Those are all really, I think, good starts to, see what you're interested in doing.
If they were like, oh, we've seen 50 Shades of Grey and we want to start some of these, like spanking or, you would call it impact play, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe some of these power play, like verbal power play. How do you think one can start like safely if they're not, if they don't know anything about BDSM?
Yeah, I really encourage like taking a class. I also have a free little worksheet that's called the Kink Negotiation Worksheet, and it does a really good job of thoroughly but also very concisely kind of developing your scene in terms of asking questions like, what kinds of play do you want to do? If it's impact play, like how heavy do you want that to be and stuff like that. I always recommend, you have to negotiate your scene first. So the scene is something that, we have our own vocabulary in the BDSM world, to make sure that the scene is whatever that BDSM action is. So you want to discuss what your scene is going to be like and what your limits are, boundaries. You want to make sure that you're getting enthusiastic consent for everything. I always recommend playing with a safe word. A safe word is something that can be used to call an end to the action. Or, you can also play with like a traffic light system, green, yellow, red, meaning the same thing as it does in the real world of traffic lights. I think those are good starts. More specific, people who tune in, I can always answer their questions about that. So
yeah, I'm interested in your classes. Are there classes also for heterosexual couples and heterosexual men?
Oh yeah, the classes are open to everyone. Yeah, just the parties that I have are specific to certain people, but the classes are always open to everybody. And we also do another event a couple times a year called S&M Social, and that is also open to everyone. And if you can come into the space, it's it's 30% off, for your next rental if you book that night. So it's a really good deal, and you get to hang out and with me and drink wine and eat cookies. Yes. So good deal.
I'm sold.
Come on. Well, you're going to get, you don't, well, I'll put you on my guest list, doctor.
Yes, I'm sold. So I have quite a few heterosexual men clients that are interested in exploring in this realm with a dominatrix, but they live like all over the world. Do you recommend people usually to do like a virtual session? Do you have like, what's an onboarding with you? Do you have to first have them like fill out a questionnaire to see if it's like a good fit?
Yeah, well, for all my in-person sessions, yes, you have to fill out my booking form. And if you're interested in doing an elaborate kind of online session with on cam or something, then you'd probably also do that. But online domination or online BDSM or kink or sex are all completely valid forms of learning and exploring. Again, I'm here based in Los Angeles. I don't really tour so much anymore. I'm not really sure it's going to be happening, but I'm always happy to give recommendations and referrals to other people. If you're not in LA, I'm happy to let you know about other cool DOMs in your city if I can. I'm serious. Like, I'm really happy to refer people because, it's like sometimes I get clients and, I get some people like asking for references and I'm like, this is not a good person, as we were talking about earlier. And it's like, I want to recommend people really cool. Like when I'm not in town, I also refer people to people who are in town who are using my space because I want to make sure they're taken care of. And I don't want someone having a not as good experience with someone else who I don't know or who isn't like vetted. So, because there's a lot of, unfortunately, scammers out there and like, in the sex worker or dom world, I mean, I have, I think like 5 TikToks that are impersonating me that TikTok won't take down. Yeah. I've had people copy my websites that's gotten taken down. But it's a problem, and not just like in the in our community, it's happening in all communities.
Everywhere. Yeah.
And just like regular and just scammers on the reg anyway. Like I'm getting a ton of weird text messages to my personal cell. And I'm like, what is this? Like scammers are in full force. So please, like get references, check things, it's just,
I get these texts for like donations, but when you click on the link, apparently if you're not on an iPhone, they will be able to take your personal information from your phone. So
I never click on
any link.
No. Never click on any links. Like just block people. Like, do your research of, you can download the app Mr. Number and look up numbers that way for scammers. But just block people. Just, it's really bad. There's one thing happening on Instagram a lot lately, which is people are copying accounts. But they'll do it with like one extra letter. And they'll follow everyone who that original person is following. And then they'll DM them and say, oh, like, let's do like something in the DMs and just give me like $20 or like a tarot reading or something. It's not even just like, so this is happening like a lot. Yeah. So even it will look totally real. And honestly, I made the joke on someone else's podcast that like, the people who are impersonating me on TikTok, I'm like, damn, they're doing a better job on TikTok than I am. I should copy them. But then I reported them and then they blocked me and then they're still up. So I can't see them. So just so you know, like, it's like.
So there's another Justine on TikTok that's not you?
Oh my God, there's 4. My original TikTok got taken down. I don't even know why, because I barely used it. And my videos were like really, kind of dumb. They were just like, hey, here's me and my girlfriend. And like, and so then I got back on and someone told, and like, I've reported 6 accounts recently. A couple of them have been taken down, but I just checked today, when I was looking at your amazing TikTok, which was, and there's still like 4 accounts of mine that are up and that have not been taken down. And I've been emailing them and they have not been taken down. And so they're scamming people and making money.
Fakers.
I know. It's, like a lot of places on social media, for them, shadow banning and, deleting our accounts, it's really very, very concerning that their social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram are not taking down these scammer accounts, because we don't know who those people are. Like, they could literally be minors.
Exactly.
And I don't think that they are. I mean,
or lure people to a certain place.
Well, I don't, it's all online, because there's no, but they could be luring people online to somewhere. They could be luring people in person somewhere, or, but I'm not sure what else to do, like, at this point. So I don't know. It's like, I try not to spend too much time about that. I think about it. But it's like, but it's a problem. So anyway, so just be careful. This is just happening all over the place, but
I want to shift into this idea that I've been hearing online and at forums and at conferences sometimes from psychologists. And in no way there is proof. So there's no proof of this. It's a theory, but it's a running theory. So some psychologists theorize that BDSM is a trauma response and something that, something has happened in a BDSM practitioner's childhood for them to opt into the BDSM lifestyle. What do you think about that?
I think that's bullshit. I mean, that could totally, it's not something that really makes sense evolutionary. let me take my tiny little, 1 degree in psychology and tell you how this is wrong. But it's not something that makes sense. I mean, there are certainly people who can very clearly remember something that happened to them, and then that became a fetish of theirs, or it turned them on in some way, that they decided to take a certain trauma or something that happened to them in childhood and fetishize it or sexualize it in some way. And I believe that that's true, but I just can't believe that accounts for the majority of people who are into BDSM. BDSM goes back to like cave people drawings, like what like people had like trauma, like what, like, oh, this guy took my rock. I mean, like what, like this doesn't make any sense. Like, like sex and pleasure are just part of the human experience. And I think that we, all have sort of different things that turn us on, and that's just a part of the rich tapestry of life. But I can't connect that to a trauma response, because then we're saying that all pleasure is connected to a trauma response. Like, I like the color red, that's a trauma response. I like shoes, that's a trauma response. That doesn't make any sense. And, I think that unfortunately, like society, like, us as a whole, like, we're really traumatized. We're really fucking traumatized. There is so much trauma. There's trauma for any minority. So like us as women, like, race, sexuality, gender, just being a human in a body and existing in this world. If someone decides that they're going to abuse you, there is so much trauma, and there's like so much BDSM. But I think the overlap of that Venn diagram is a lot tinier than we would like, than it is. Because again, it's certainly in Christian Gray's case in 50 Shades, like he very directly attributed his BDSM and kink as a trauma response. But this was written by someone who is not any kind of psychologist or had any kind of training or talked to anybody about these things. It was written by someone who was like a fanfic for a Twilight series. So, but it's, so there's that, but it's also, I was going to say one more thing and I lost my train of thought when I started thinking about Christian Grey. That's terrible. But it's interesting. I forgot I lost my train, but yeah.
Billions of people around the world have seen that movie. And, like most young adults or adolescents, when they see something on the media, and it's ingrained in them as in like, oh, that's what happens. And I think that becomes a very like harmful stereotype, that, oh, wow, you're into BDSM, like what happened? So I think that type of narrative, whenever I hear it, I feel a little icky about that, because then you can say like, oh, I like my hair pulled. Like, let's say I like my hair pulled every time. It's very stimulating. It helps me come harder. Let's say, does that mean I had some type of, like, when I was young, someone pulled my hair and I
maybe, but also maybe not. Like, I like my hair being pulled, and I know what I was going to say is that like we have I think that we're scared, again, because of there's so much kink and sex shaming, we're really afraid of pleasure, and we have to denigrate pleasure, like our own and other people's, because like a lot of us are really unhappy, and a lot of people don't want other people to be happy on a really weird level. And it's mostly subconscious, of course, but I see you're very like excited and nodding because it's so right. You see maybe your patients and stuff. But what I was going to say is that like this myth of BDSM, of like that it's some trauma response, is like similar to this myth of like, oh, like only like white middle-aged CEOs are paying doms. Like, no, that's also wrong and dumb and stupid. It's just because those are the people you hear about sometimes. And those are the ones who can afford it. And those are the ones who have agency over their own desires and their bodies in a way that like other minority populations do not, from both like a cost perspective and also from having agency over your own body perspective, where a lot of that's why it's so comforting what I said earlier, is that like so many more women and like gender nonconforming people are coming in to see me because they're taking agency over their bodies and their own desires. And that's really exciting and awesome and really great for me because I love playing with women. So,
oh, love. That is the perfect segue into my last question. Should everyone try BDSM?
I think you should try it if it interests you. I think that there's a lot of, when we think about BDSM, like the things that I mentioned, like worship or corporal punishment or electroplay or, toys, bondage, stuff like that. Those are different, like fun aspects of BDSM to try. But there are certain parts of BDSM that I think everyone should be just doing because, when in BDSM, when you have a scene, like I said earlier, you always have enthusiastic consent. You always discuss what you're going to do. You always discuss what you're not going to do. You have a safe word. And, when I think about that in terms of before I have a BDSM scene, those are all the things that I always do. And I'm trying to be more conscious of doing those things before I engage in something that's more like vanilla sex with someone. And that's what I encourage people to do. And it's like, wow, this is so silly. Like, why do we not do this? Like, and I ask people in my more advanced BDSM seminars, I say, oh, like when you have a BDSM scene, do you do this? Do you do this, that? I say, okay, well, when you have sex, do you do any of those things? And everyone's like, oh my God, I don't. And we don't talk about what we're going to do before we have sex. Usually we don't schedule a time for it. And that's, I assume that's probably one of the things you recommend to people or, like I know lots of other sex positive therapists or sex therapists do as well, to schedule things and talk about it. And yeah,
it's just so much healthier to have that type of structure rather than just assuming and guessing and waiting. And then someone grows resentful, someone misunderstands the other. It's just, seems like a really good communicative practices is going on with the BDSM lifestyle.
Oh, of course. And look, we all do it. Like, do I do it? Am I sitting there and be like, oh yeah, a little to the left? Of course I am. But it's like, wow, like if I say it out loud, if I say a little to the left and harder out loud, guess what? That other person is like, hears it, does it. And then I'm like, yeah, so we all do it, but I always say to people, like, ask for what you want and you're way more likely to get it than if you do not, please ask for what you want. And, especially if it's like in a, your committed partner or person you're playing with or having sex with, like not like random guy on the street, although that might work for some of us. It'll work for me, but random guy in the street, don't ask me something because I'm not going to do it. It doesn't work for some of you. Okay.
Right.
But definitely in your relationships, whether they're casual or committed, like really ask for what you want and look at aspects of BDSM to how to incorporate that in your life. Like not to, I hate the idea of like spice it up, but it's kind of like, you live in your country, like go visit another country, go try some other food, like more like that kind of thing, like to try something a little bit different.
Variety.
Yeah, variety. And just we're all like have been so cooped up, like get into a different kind of cage, different kind of lockup.
Not the fun kind.
Yes.
Well, I love that you said ask for what you want because I think that is one of the most powerful things we can do for our own sexual wellness is ask for what we want. Well, thank you so much for that. Before you go, I'd love to play a game with you that I play with every guest, and it's called 10 Quickies with Dr. Tara. And what happens is I just give you a word and you just give me a response back, and it can be like anything at all.
Okay. I love games. I love winning, but yeah, okay.
Okay. Number 1, flogging.
Ooh, yes.
Number 2, shibari.
I love looking at it, but not doing it. Oh, is it only one word? God, I'm such a dom. I'm like, my own thing.
No.
Oh, okay.
Any kind of response.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh, it's pretty. Okay. Yeah.
Number 3, verbal humiliation.
My friend, Master Alexis, is really, really good at it.
It's an art form.
It is. I'm like too good at it. Like people say me, insult me, and then I say something so fucked up that they're like, "Oh, I'm like,
shit."
I'm like, "Oh, all right, bye." I'm sorry.
Number 4, butt plugs.
Oh yeah. I want to get more butt plugs. I'm going to write this down. I've been thinking about butt plugs a lot. And, they're great. I want to do that more in my life. Thank you.
I'm going to get more butt plugs too. I'm going to write it down.
Okay. I have a bunch at the dungeon. People leave them there. Like I just, there's so many. Yeah. I have so many. I gotta like get more into that. Yeah.
Well, that's a great segue to number 5, dungeons.
Dungeon East is the best one. I'm telling you.
I was there for a rope tying class.
Oh, Oh, whose class?
Yeah,
Was it
it's
for
really cool.
Goddess Lucy or?
Yes, Goddess
Yeah,
Lucy.
oh my God, she's so wonderful. Oh, I wasn't there and so I didn't get a chance to meet you then, but she is so super lovely. She's my one of the co-hosts for Deviant.
Oh,
So
love.
yeah, she has some other classes coming up too. So, but just really wonderful person. So yeah.
I agree. Well, number 6, sex clubs.
Huh. You know, I haven't been to a sex club in a while, but I think the next time I go, it's going to be in Europe. Oops,
Is
something
there
is
one that you
clicking.
really like?
No, because I haven't been
Europe?
to any in such a long time. Oh yeah, no, I just realized I'm making money and all the dings are coming in. Yeah, so I was like, oh, I usually
Making
close
money as
everything.
we speak.
Oh yeah, my phone is blowing up over here. So
Oh my gosh.
no, I just feel like everything is better somewhere else, probably. I haven't gone to one in a really long time. I used to go to some swinger events and stuff, but it's like I'm really into more of like the public BDSM play aspect and the possibility for like something sexy to happen. I'm not like so much into having sex in public. So yeah, I haven't been in a one, but like I'll like think about it. Going to Europe.
Love
Do you
it.
have any? Do you recommend?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let me know. Maybe if you like give me some like nice recommendations of like ones in the Hollywood Hills, I'll like want to go again.
Yeah. Okay, you're on my invite list on the phone.
Okay.
Number 7, masochism.
Oh, I'm such a sadist and I just really want to find like the most brutal masochist.
Ooh. Number 8, love at first sight.
Oh, I'm a romantic and I believe in that. I do.
It's
It could,
giving Aquarius.
whether it be, your new lover or a pair of Louboutins, I'm all for it, all of those things.
Number 9, scissoring.
Oh, scissoring. Yeah, a sexual act lesbians totally do. I don't know why some lesbians are saying they're not, but yes, I'm all for scissoring.
Love. And last but not least, number 10, who is the hottest dominatrix we should know about?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, like besides me, as I'm a light narcissist, oh my God. I'm a super fan of Master Alexis, who is a really awesome lesbian femdom here in Los Angeles. I also want to shout out to Goddess Athena and Violet, all Los Angeles doms. God, I'm sorry. There's just so many. I'm just going to keep running a list of like amazing women. But those have like particularly put like a lot of like sparkle and like positivity and like renewed my love for the profession and BDSM and just they've been really lovely. So yeah, they're wonderful.
I love it. Thank you so much. Where can people find you and work with you?
Yes. Okay. Well, everyone, please go to my main site, which is losangelesdominatrix.com. I do have a newsletter on there. That is always the best way to get in touch with me and keep in touch with me, and the only way I will book appointments with you. As for social media, you can follow me on Twitter as Justine Plays. I'm on Clubhouse and Instagram as the Justine Cross. And I'm on TikTok as the Justine Cross again, because my original one got deleted and I will start posting again. It sort of just turned into an account where I just keep saying like, hey, there's all these fakes, but I'm re-inspired by your TikTok actually. And I'm like, I should just do this more. Why not?
It is fun. Well, yes, Mistress, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your wisdom.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Doctor.
And yes, my Love Bites fam, thank you for staying till the end of the episode. And please give me a shout out. Share this episode with your friends, on your social media, with your family. You'll do them a favor.
They're kinky, I promise you.
They're people are always more kinky than than you think.
Oh, definitely. Everyone's keeping a secret, but the bitches, they're all into it. They're all kinky.
I agree. Well, you guys, thank you so much for staying till the end of the episode. Other than that, per usual, have an orgasmic day. Are you looking to take sexual pleasure to a whole new level? Bijoux Indiscrets provides a variety of ways to enhance your sex life. From pleasurable sex toys, erotic accessories, and intimate products, Bijoux Indiscrets is sure to have just what you need. Check out their slow sex line for unique products that will enhance your foreplay, like nipple play gel and clitoral balm. Check out the link in the show notes and use code LOVEBITES20 for 20% off at checkout. Have an orgasmic play.
Thanks for listening. This was Love Bites. Love Bites. By Dr. Tara. Follow Dr. Tara on social media at lovebites.co. Have an orgasmic day.